Jai Hind everyone, welcome again to the Patriotic IAS. Let's start our IAS PCSwala Delhi current affairs, and today we are into the 20th of the April, and we have three major topics. They are very interesting. One by one we will see that one is from the GS paper 3 that's talk about the how the scientific and the scientific community they are expecting from the new government, and that's why we can bring all this point whenever you are going to write the what need to be done to improve the research and development in India, or the what need to done by the government to improve the scientific research into the India. So all these things you can write into the GS paper 3 science and technology, and so it will be means specific. Some of the basic things such as given that what is the percentage of the investment with respect to the government and the private sector into the research and development. This is very important. Then we will study this permanent status of the Palestine, where there is the proposal from the Algeria, how the US is opposing. Again, it will be for the mains, very specific, but we will know about the UN Security Council basics, so it will help into the prelims, but mostly it is based on the mains. Okay, then we will see that the battle over the Adivasi identity. So this is very interesting news analysis. Here it is talking about the what is the position and status of Adivasi tribal people with respect to the society. So it will be part of GS paper 1 society, but it could be also part of the GS paper 1 history, modern Indian history, where the tribal movement, we talk about the tribal movement. So lot of tribal movement that has been mentioned. For example, Hul movement, that is very important, we will know. Beside that, there is the many leaders of the tribal movement that has been mentioned. So you should know, and you should search, you should analyze. So this three articles are very important. Okay, let's start with the front page. The first page of the poll record over 62% turnout. So here it is given as per the recent data from the election commission that near about 62.37% turnout has been there, and maximum turnout that has been from the Lakshadweep, that is 83%, and lowest is from the Bihar, 48%. So you can have these points data that what is the condition of the turnout into the Lok Sabha election into the Bihar and into the Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep, because the population is very less, it is very minute population, and that's why. Okay, Bihar may be lowest because of the out migration into the Bihar, that is common. Okay, so here we have also seen that the protest against the election, because many of them are boycotting. One of the example is the Eknapuram in Kanchipuram district. Here we have seen that the farmers boycotted. Why? Because their land was being diverted for the greenfield airport for the Chennai. So that's why. So this is one of the example. Beside that, we have seen that the Kuki politician, they have not contested. Again, it is from the Manipur. And in Arunachal Pradesh and the Sikkim, the state assembly election is going on. And out of 60 seat into the Arunachal Pradesh, only 50 is being contested. Why? Because 10 on the 10 seats, the BJP has won this election without any opposition. So this is all about from there. We have seen that the violence into the Manipur and some area of the Assam as well. So here it has mentioned. So this is all about from this news article. The second news article, again, this is continuous fight at the tussle that is going on between the Israel and Iran. Now there has been some of the report that Israel raided the Iranian city, and what is the name of the city? Isfahan city of the, even the Iran has denied such attack or any explosion. So you should remember this Isfahan city, maybe into the prelims they can ask. Okay. The next news, again on the from the front page, it is interesting. SCSL poll time prohibition order. So here one of the district magistrate, executive magistrate, that has issued the blanket order of the prohibition of the yatras or the any of the assembly, because it has imposed section 144 of the criminal procedure code, and it's talk about the large number of the assembly is prohibited. So the Supreme Court said that in the election, it has been done on the date, from the date of the announcement of the election and till the result will be announced. So the Supreme Court has chided and scold these magistrates that this election or the time when the people gather, they mobilize each other, they protest, they raise their issue, and if you will prohibit doing all these things, what will be the mean of these elections? So here it has given that these are the time when the public that freely discuss and participate and organize or mobilize on the issue affecting them ahead of the election. So why you are putting such prohibitory order? Again, the next news is, again, it is talking about the violence into the Manipur. Okay, so here we have seen that the many of the districts such as the Visnupur and other such districts, there has been the violence even into the Imphal, some of the area of the Imphal that was impacted by the violence. Next important news we will take is from the editorial. The first news, that is the Israel a two-state solution, some recent perceptions. So this is not that much important. This is important, but continuously we have seen that such news are there. There is the repetition on most of the area. We are not going for the it. The second is, again, the BJP's southern push was evident in the run-up to the first phase. Again, here there is the political news. We have seen that the BJP is making effort to increase its presence, its number into the southern states. But the thing is that here that is not getting the support, and we have seen that in the south, particularly Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, the position of BJP is not as stronger as it is into the northern area, Hindi belt, okay, Hindi heartland. So we already have seen all about the numbers, how many seats that was contested under the first phase of the election and what are the turnout, all that has given. The next editorial, again, this permanent status that was for the Palestine, and it was resolution under the Algeria that was into the UNSC, but it was vetoed. So here again repetition is there, but this is important so that you can know that what is the status of the Palestine with respect to the permanent membership, and you should also know some basics about the UNSC. So United Nations Security Council, this is the main decision-making body, and it's take decision with respect to the peacemaking missions, also with respect to the when there is the war that should be there. If there is the condition of the war or any of the army action, so UNSC has the final decision making, even for the sanctions on the economic area or the military area or the diplomatic area, all are finally taken by the UNSC. Total number of the members are the 15. 5 are the permanent members. You should know already. You know that Russia, US, and China. The 2 other European countries as France and UK, they do not deserve, but they are, because they were strong at the time of 1940s. But now the equation has changed, so you can forget the France and UK. But yes, France and UK are there, and that's why there is always debate that they should be merged, and there should be the new permanent members, such as from the Asia, for example, India or the Brazil from the South America. So this is other thing that it is with respect to the reform in UNSC. You will study, you will read into your GS paper, to international relation under the UN reform. Okay. Here the other thing you should know, there is the 10 non-permanent members. They are elected by the UN General Assembly, and they are for the 2 years. So you should know 2 years there could be the consecutive elections of the same nation. Okay. Here key function. The first thing is that the investigating the disputes and others such as the peacekeeping missions or the sanctions in the area of the military or the economic or use of the force, if it is taken by the final decision of the UNSC, or the Security Council reform. All this is taken by the Security Council, United Nations Security Council. So here the main news is about that Algeria brought the resolution for the permanent membership of the Palestine, but it was vetoed down by the US. So editorial is talking about what should be the behavior of the US. Here you should know that 12 members out of 15 members, they voted into the support and we vetoed by the United States. Okay. So here the Israeli ambassador, he criticized the resolution and the blind supporter of the Israel, that is the US. Here the editorial is talking that it's considered that if we will give the Palestine the permanent membership, there is the chances that Palestine will be treated equally with the other nation, and that's why there could be it could also bring its own grievances, and so that the peace prospect will be more into the Palestinian area as compared to the now the condition is there. Okay. Here, beside that, the editorial is talking about we should not treat all the Palestinian as the terrorist and all their action as a terrorist action. And beside that, US should prioritize the building the consensus rather than blindly favoring the one countries against the other entities. Okay, so this is all about you should know from this editorial news. Next important news that we will cover is this scientist and a wish list for the incoming government. So here in this article, the writer, the name of the writer is the Binay Panda, and he is the professor of the JNU. He is talking about that what is the need for the scientific community, what the scientific community expect from the new government or any government that is about to come. What will be the best practices? So it start with the funding. The funding in India is very minuscule. It is near about 0.6% to 0.7% of the total GDP. And we want to achieve it the 0.8%. So here it is given that this is the just 0.7% and we want to achieve it to the near about 3%, something like that, because the most of the developing countries, they are more than 2% of the GDP. They are expenditure on the research and development here. Okay, and most of them are from the government. Only 40% of them are from the private sector contribution, and we need to improve on this contribution from the private sector, because the private sector have the lot of money as compared to the government, and government is spending into the research and development is very much into their own need. For example, government will spend on the defense, into the space, but not on the economic activities, because the economic activities is the domain of the private sector. So that's why the private expenditure is very important. And now the writer is talking about the Anusandhan National Research Foundation that was recently came into the existence. And here the government is expecting that the 36,000 crore will come from the private sector into the 5 years. Okay. And for that, the writer is writing that there need to be escrow account that guaranteeing this funding in a regular manner. Okay. Beside that, where we need to focus? We need to focus on the physical and intellectual infrastructure. And for the physical infrastructure, we need to modernize the laboratories, the college, universities on the modern line so that they can do the experiment research in a more effective manner. Further, we need to upgrade the number of those who are working into these institutions. So we need to increase, not only we need to fill all these seats, but also we need to double down the numbers. Okay, so here we need to robust and unbiased system to bring the best so that we can our recruitment is without bias. Further, it is talking about it should be on the merit system. The recruitment should not be influenced by any of the external influence. It should be totally based on the merit basis, and that's why they can do the job for that they are hiring. The person should be hired best qualified to do the job. That is the main point. Okay. Besides that, it is talking about the global norms for the hiring and the quality teachers and the scientists that should be followed and that should be given priority. Besides that, further it is talking about the grant system. The grant system to the government, the grant system to the scientists. For the government, the ministry should try to utilize all the grant that is given to the ministry. Many a times we see that there is the unspent fund that goes back to the budget and our consolidated fund of India. And that is a setback. When we need lot of money and you are sending back the thing that is given to you. For example, I am talking about I need a lot of money. And when I am getting the money, I am sending back the money. I have lot of area to work, but I am not want to spend on that area. This is a very irony, and that's sad. Okay. Beside that, it is talking about there is need to give autonomy for the individual scientists, that how and what they should spend, and they should be free as per their quality. Whenever they want to withdraw, whenever they want to, yes, their accountability should be for their experiment. That should be the quality experiment. Okay. Further, it is talking about the flexibility to purchase from the anywhere, but the product should be quality. Generally, we see that there is always the notification or the guideline that the scientific institution or the scientists who are getting fund from the government, they should always choose the product or the item from the e-marketplace promoted by the government. But the many times there is the product that is the cheap, but the quality is very worse, or that is not being that much effective. Okay, so here on the name of the Make in India slogan, you try to sell the low quality product that is not that much effective for the research. Okay. So here that's why the writer is talking about that there should be more flexibility into the option for the purchasing or the doing the purchasing the product. Okay. Further, it is talking about the academia without the flourishing startup ecosystem will not produce innovation for the masses. We need a startup system, and that can earn the money. They can free to open the company. They are free to hire the scientific staff, and they should free to do the research as per the need. Okay, so here they should be provided with the less paperwork and administrative process, because we see that a lot of red tapeism into these processes. So the academia, the scientists, and those who are working with that area should be given more freedom, and also they should be given freedom to attend the national and the international level conferences, because whenever the people go and talk to the different people, they get the idea and the scientific ideas that is needed for the further progress. For example, if a scientist from the India going to take part into the European conference, whatever the new thing that is going on, he will come to know, he will get the contact with those scientists who are working into the Africa or the US or the Canada or the Australia, and that they will bring that type of the ideas into the India, we can implement. So going here, for example, traveling is considered as a very good way to get the information, knowledge, and know the thing. The same is for the scientists. If they are going to attending the national and international conference, this is beneficial for the further progress. Okay. Here the writer is again telling that the accountability of the scientist should be for the quality product and the quality experiment and the research and outcome, not to the expenditure or anything like that. Okay, so here we need to create and impart to youngster mind. Okay, and we need to bring ease of doing science, and we need to provide the scientist the complete freedom to think and implement. Only then we can give the better outcome, and government need to invest in the fundamental science and the knowledge creation beside the research and development, because if you don't have the base, this fundamental science and the knowledge creation, that will make the base for the further research and development. This is all about from this news article. Next important news that we are going to take is the battle over the Adivasi identity. Here it is talking about the how the recent government BJP, under the BJP and the Sangh Parivar, they want to appropriate the tribal identity and the tribal community with the Hinduism and the single national identity. However, we have seen that there has been the response and resistance to appropriation of this tribal identity with the Hindu identity. We have seen that there has been the formation of the group such as the Bharat Adivasi Party on the basis of the countering the claim of the BJP-led union government, and they want to make and to reclaim that the lost storage of Adivasi resistance movement in order to build a national tribal identity. Okay. So here the indigenous communities, for example, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, they are attempting to counter this narrative, and this all news analysis, this all case study is with respect to that. For example, it is started with the one of the village, one of the area that is under the Udaipur, and here the Bhil Adivasi people, they lives. Okay, so here how the signboards indicate and how the government is working. Okay, so for example, here in this village, this is showing that the 16th century tribal leader Rana Punjab Bhil. Okay, so the main project of the government, and it is supported by the affiliated group Akhil Bharti Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram. So this is leading the project, and also it is under the leading National Commission for the Scheduled Tribe. Okay, and there is the projection of the new identity of their heroes, tribal heroes, and this is with the replacement of the history and literature under the National Commission for the Scheduled Caste. Okay, Scheduled Tribe. Okay, so it aiming to replace the existing literature on the Adivasi histories, communities, and resistance movement with the literature created by the indigenous people about their own community. So they are telling that what now we are telling that is truth, and your own leader, whatever they have wrote or whatever the stories that you have, that is not true. But the indigenous people, those who are belonging from this Adivasi group, they are now opposing this new type of the narrative. Okay. For example, here, one of the way to show that you are not Adivasi, you are Banvasi, or you are Janjati. So why? Because if you will tell the Adivasi, means you are the most ancient living creature that doesn't suit and counter the Sanatan Dharma type of the Sanatan period of the Hinduism. The Hinduism is also project it as itself as the Sanatan Dharma. For example, it doesn't have the any era. It is oldest tradition, oldest religion. But the Adivasi is also identity that predates the Hinduism. And it's talk about that from the very initiation, these people are existing and their rituals are there. Okay. So we have seen that the Adivasi warriors such as the Birsa Munda, Tilak Manjhi or the Alluri Sitaram Raju, all they have been now projected in such a way they are not fighting the hierarchical order of the society, but they are fighting only to the Britishers. And also we have seen that the pronunciation, literation, and again use of these heroes into the speeches of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the leaders of the BJP. We have seen this is the continuously. For example, recently we have seen that he mentioned the Govind Guru at the Mangarh massacre into the 1913 into the Rajasthan when he was visiting the Rajasthan. Okay, we have seen that the BJP is utilizing the book that is the contribution of the tribal leader into the freedom struggle, and this is retained under the leadership of the National Commission for the Scheduled Caste, a Scheduled Tribe. Okay, here we have seen that the projection of this tribal leader into some attire such as the white kurta and the Rudrakshamala, and this is being opposed by those from the indigenous community, tribal community. Okay, so this article is talking about how this all being done. Okay, for example, here the Govind Guru in this book, they have emphasis that the more similarity with the Hinduism, the way they have projected. But in the reality, we have seen that his teaching emphasizes the rationality, shunning of superstition, monotheism. Here see the monotheism, he do not talk, he didn't talk about the multiple gods, okay, and equality with the higher Hindus caste and challenged the social hierarchy. These leaders doesn't only fight with the Britishers, but they fight with the social hierarchy. And you will see that in the most of the tribal movement, they equally attack the upper caste rulers, jamidars, landlords, as well as the rulers. Okay, and in this fight, the Britishers, the upper caste, and the ruler, they all collide. In collusion, they wanted to suppress the tribal movement. Okay, so we have seen that always for most of these resistance. For example, here it is mentioned that the resistance by the Santhal community. It is known as the whole movement of the Santhal people. And in this movement, what they did, it was done under the leadership of the Sidhu, Kanu, and Chand and Bhairav. So please remember this name. This is very important. Santhal movement or the whole movement. This is very much important. This is the very focus point. You should be very clear cut. Even in NCRT class 12, new NCRT, this has mentioned. The whole revolt has been mentioned. Okay. So here, it was not only they attacked the Britishers, they started attacking with to the money lenders and those upper caste landlord and also the ruling class, and in this the Britishers colluded with these group to suppress their movement. Okay, so that's why many of the tribal leader and the thinker like the Jacinta Karketta, he highlight the historical context of the Adivasi struggle, and it is not only against the Britishers but also against the landlords and the money lenders. Here it is given. Okay. So here it conclude with the most of these Adivasi resistance movement was response of the operation from the upper caste landlord and the local rulers, and they are collaborating with each other. Okay, so here the recognition of the Adivasi resistance will show that the resistance against the caste structure, and it will acknowledge the resistance that targeted the British administration, but also it showed that the societal injustice that perpetuated, and that is not suiting the Sangh Parivars, their narrative, because they are showing that before Britishers there is the equality between the tribal community and the upper caste or the Hindu upper caste. So this is all about from this news article. This is the case study that has been given from the different statement of the people from the tribal community. So here we have covered most of the relevant news from the today's newspaper. We will conclude this session here. Thank you for joining the session. All the best. Jai Hind.